It's Mon Mothma's HoloNet, and we're just posting on it. Welcome back to Mothmanet News and our 50-day countdown to Andor Season 2. Today's guest, can you please introduce yourself and our topic of the day?
Hello, my name is Nick, aka ndwiseguy, and today we are going to be talking about everyone's favorite innocent can do no wrong child from Andor Season 1, Nemik.
I love him so much.
He's
He
the
is
best.
so good. Oh my gosh. I still get brought to tears every single time. I'm like, yeah, okay, I've suffered losing Nemik, and then I turn on episode 12 and it's his manifesto and Alex Lothar's doing the voiceover, and I'm like, no, I'm not okay.
No,
I'm not
why are
okay.
you doing this to me?
Why are you doing this to me? Yeah, just huge shout out to Nemik, who also is the little guy who now has a book named after one of his quotes, a book that has nothing to do with him, but the Mask of Fear, because he says oppression is the mask of fear, and maybe all three books will come from Nemik quotes. Maybe the titles will all be Nemik quotes. Yeah.
Oh, I hope so. That would be excellent.
Oh, and drive me insane.
A fitting legacy to that man.
Mm-hmm. Our sweet little boy. I want to put him in my pocket and carry him around. So why do we love Nemik? Why did you want to talk about Nemik specifically?
I mean, why do we not love Nemik, I think is
true.
the bigger question. Nemik to me personifies the rebellion, and not just because he clearly is fully devout to what the rebellion is meant for, but because he does it in a outwardly way. He's just like, he believes it. He will tell you why he believes it. He will give you his manifesto to listen to, but he's not brash about it. He's not arrogant about it. He fully believes in an almost like Gandhi-esque sort of humbleness in terms of what the rebellion represents and what those ideals are. And to me, in the world that we're in now, especially, that rings so much more powerfully, and it rang so powerfully during the entire Aldhani Act, or but even now, like, you listen to it, you just think like Tony Gilroy, when he wrote that, was like way ahead of his time with what he was trying to get to.
Yeah, and I think, like, Nemik is a character who, he knows what he knows. He's always willing to learn more. He also is like, if he doesn't understand something, he will search for the answer. He will try to make it make sense in his head. And we saw that with how he reacted to finding out that Cassian is essentially a mercenary.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, he's here. He may not completely believe in the cause, but the fact that he's here is important. It's special. It means something. Right. And to me, that is so important, because he could have been like, oh, well, he's not one of us. He doesn't belong. But he understands that every person has their own rebellion, which is a central thesis of the show. Right. And I talked about that a lot with Beth when we were discussing Dedra. But, I learned a lot from Nemik. I think a lot of people in our world could learn a lot from Nemik,
I mean, like, he brought to words for me personally what it meant to, like you said, have your own personal rebellion. It doesn't have to be this grand outward thing. It can be if that's what feels natural to you, but it's those small acts. It's those little things that build that river that then can't be stopped. And that was such a unique way to look at what a rebellion could be, because we've always seen rebellions dictated, even in the Star Wars universe, as this big, like, open clash of battles. So for it to be described as these little acts that build and build and build until the dam breaks was such a interesting take to me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because, like, even if you look at different sides of the rebellion, like, even outside of the Alliance, like, Saw is also bigger than life, doing these big grandiose things. It's like, what they did on Aldhani was also something big and bigger than all of them. But Nemik was there just because he was like, I believe in what we're doing. I'm not doing this because it's like, oh, this is going to make me a big hero in the rebellion. And he, at his core, is an artist, and all rebellions need artists and these big, like these people who can think and they can plan and they can look at things in a larger scope. I think that if you had put Nemik's brain and Mon's brain together, it could have been something beautiful. But unfortunately, the socialist little boy was crushed by a rolling cart of credits. And capitalism kills us all in the end.
That one was a little on the nose. It's like he's
like,
being crushed by a giant thing of credits.
This is insane. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 100% would have sacrificed Skeen over Nemik any day of the week.
Yeah.
That is a little... And here's the thing. I think Skeen is also on board with that. Because after Nemik died, Skeen was like, yeah, I don't even fucking care anymore. Like, why am I here? I may as well get out. Because if it's going to kill him, this kid with these pure ideals, this brilliant mind, someone like me who is so, like, impure with their ideology and just wants to hit back and hit hard, what's going to happen to me? Right? And that, like, losing Nemik fundamentally changed Skeen, because Skeen gave a crap about Nemik. Say what you will about him, that was the one person that I think saw him and was like, no, you're actually valid in the way that you are choosing to fight, right? And my favorite moments with Skeen are where he's like, oh, did he tell you that he's like writing a manifesto and all of this? He's
very like big brotherish.
Yeah, he's like, and we know that part of Skeen's story is the way that his brother lost his tree farm to the Empire. So I think in ways he's like, I gotta protect this little guy.
Yeah.
Right. And so, Nemik is so precious.
The thing that I love about Nemik is what a contrast he is to the rest of the rebellion characters, in a sense. Like the rest of the rebellion characters in this show are very much like putting my head down, nose to the grindstone. This is going to get ugly, but we have to do it because it's the right thing. Whereas, like you said, he's like this pure idealist of this rebellion is this beautiful thing, and it's this mosaic of all these individual. And it was like, again, such a refreshing take from what we've seen, how the rebellion is portrayed, and I want more of it.
Yeah, and I think even like a lot of his ideals come because we saw how Cassian had an impact on his ideals, where he was like, here's what I think about the role of mercenaries in the galactic struggle for freedom, right? And I think that seeing, the rich, spoiled little girl from Chandrila, Vel, the girl who lost everything to the Empire, Cinta, the guy who lost his brother to the Empire, Skeen, and then two former Imperials who'd had enough of the Empire. I think that had a very big thing a very big impact on how he saw things, because it would have taught him to see Imperials as individuals as well, who are capable of making these changes and being part of these big, important events like Aldani, like the rebellion as a whole, right? And yeah, there are a lot of former Imperials who ultimately have massive sway in the rebellion on a grand scheme. Like General Dodonna was a former Imperial, Crix Medine was a former Imperial, Alexander Callis, Magna Tolvin. Afterwards, Erica Quell, Sinjir Rathvelis, like all of these characters had such a big hand in shaping the rebellion and what came after the rebellion, the New Republic,
Yeah.
So, and that's something that I kind of figured out, really. Like, had it solidified for me, I kind of already had the thoughts there, but they were more jumbled when I was reading The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire by Chris Kempschel, a book that Nemik would have loved.
Oh, he would have eaten up every page of that book.
Yeah, he would have adored that book. I wonder if Beaumont Kin knows about Karis Nemik. Because I feel like they're just two little kindred spirits. that
Oh, I mean,
speak
you would hope so. You
so
would hope
well.
that
Yeah.
something, because like I mean, to me, like Nemec's manifesto is in a abstract, beautiful way what the rebellion became. It became that flood, but it became that flood because of those individual acts. I would love to think that Beaumont Kim knew who Nemec was,
Yeah.
and hopefully admired him for what he did.
Because again, you take that and they're both artists, they're both big thinkers. Like, sure, they're not creating like paintings or music or anything like that, but their words are their art. Their
Yes.
words are where they find their power. They're not soldiers, and the rebellion needs more than soldiers. And yeah, he's just very special to me. His manifesto will come up again in season 2.
Oh,
I know it.
I
And the
will.
second it happens, I will be on the floor wailing, because I'm going to be spending 4 weeks on the floor wailing anyways. So why not throw in some extra tears?
I mean, I can't help but hope, and this is like wild fever hope, that somehow Mon hears even part of that manifesto.
Same.
Because like I feel like, I mean, obviously we know the events that are coming and the impact they're going to have, and what the end result is for Mon. But I can't help but hope that somehow his words incorporate into that stealing of making that decision, simply because it is such like his manifesto to me is like a spark of change in terms of how he thinks the galaxy could be.
Yeah.
And I think it very much aligns with what we know Mon wants the galaxy to be. So I hope that she at least hears it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Like, I think it's a sincere possibility, because, you know, we know that she's going to interact with Cassian, right? And she's probably going to be like, you know, like, hey, what brought you to this point? In a roundabout way, she's probably going to like try to learn more about him, because he ultimately is important. And, you know, I could see either him showing it to her, or Vel being a part of Mon hearing the manifesto. Because Vel was also very close to Nemec. She worked with him for months. She cared about him. She was by his side when he died for the rebellion. And we know that Mon is a person much like Vel. And I've had some criticisms of Vel in the past, but overall, she is a person who cares about the human toll of the rebellion.
Yes.
You know? And because we see it when she's talking to Clea, right? Where she's like, what, like, that, like, and Clea's like, you know, I recruited Terramon myself, and Nemec Gorland, they'll all be remembered, right? Clea's very, like, blasé about it, but she still also cares. Because, you know, people are not
robots. There's
not
always
robots.
A connection.
Yeah, and not an infinite resource, right? Like, she recruited Terramon herself. Obviously, she's mourning this loss, but Vel is feeling it so much closer, because that's who she is at the end of the day. And so, you know, as somebody who cares, she's going to be like, hey, like, you know, if Vel ever tells Mon, like, hey, the Aldani heist, I was part of that. That's where I was. Which would be probably a breach of whatever promises they've made to Luthen. But if Vel thinks it's the right thing to do, she'll tell her cousin. Well, and then she brings up, you know, like, oh, I worked with this young guy who, and like, these were his ideas. Like, Cassian here has like his proper manifesto. And then Mon's going to be like, give it. Yeah. Give it to me.
And I will then have to pause to mentally and emotionally prepare myself to have her listen to that.
Yeah.
Because I won't be ready for it.
No, because I know that Mon Mothma's not a character that breaks very often. We've only seen it really once in Daughter of Ferrix, where she's watching Lita do her weird trad wife training stuff. Yeah. As I joke about it being, even though ultimately I've come to the point where I'm like, if it's the one way to keep Lita safe, I can accept it. Right?
I still know if I can accept it. I accept that it's Chandrilan culture, but it just feels
it feels so weird to me. Yeah. But that's the only time that we see her like cry. And I'm
Yeah.
very sensitive to the idea of Mon crying, and hearing the words of a young man who died for the cause will bring her to tears. I just know it.
I mean, I can almost see it too, like her getting it in an indirect way, because it obviously that manifesto impacted Cassian on a very fundamental level.
Mm-hmm.
He went from wanting to do a job for Luthen, the Eldani heist, to at the end of that season being like, okay, I'm in, let's go, let's do this. And I can't help but feel that's in large part because of the connection that he made with Nemik, but also the impact of Nemik's words on him.
Yeah.
And I could almost see him like reciting it as though it's like a morning affirmation type idea where he's just constantly going through it, and that's how Mon hears it as well.
Yeah, similar to, I think, how we see like some Jedi in their moments, like internally or externally reciting part of the code, you know, as something like the Jedi code for Cassian. Yeah.
Yes. I think so. I mean, I think that might be the way, and that will crush me even more, because it will just, again, like show the, I mean, realistically, he was there for 4 episodes. 3 episodes.
4, 5, and 6, and then the voiceover.
And I would say he had the largest impact on Cassian. I think, you know, obviously the Narkina 5 act, Cassian had a large impact on characters around him, whether it was Kino or Melshi, but the Eldani arc, Nemik had this impact on him. And other than Marva, no character to me has such a large impact to Cassian in that first season.
Yeah.
No offense, Brasso. I love you, but I do think yeah.
Oh, if Brasso had met Nemik, I'd have lost my mind.
They would be good drinking buddies.
They would be
I could
so
see them
great.
be so great drinking buddies.
Little Nemik would be a lightweight though. And Brasso would have to like carry him back, and Nemik's just waxing poetic about
just carrying him in his arms like a
and
little
it's just
baby.
like, you know, just hey, it's okay. Meanwhile, Nemik's just like, you know, something else about rebellion.
Exactly.
Like, go on, kiddo. Go on.
Yeah, Brasso's like, that's nice. That's nice.
That's nice, sweetie. Nice. Does he ever stop talking? But I think it's so endearing because, you know, as a person when I was younger, I definitely, you know, I'm glad I didn't live in the same time. I'm glad that I wasn't like a young person in this current day and age, because I fear that I would go completely into the full mindset of Nemik. And while I adore him, you know, and I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, I think it's very important that we have people in these movements who exhibit these qualities, he is still very naive. I don't think he remembers very much of the Republic. And similar to other characters, I think he has that ideal because it's better than what they have now. Right?
Yes. Yeah, I would 100. I mean, I wouldn't put him at any more than what, like late teens, early 20s at most, which means that when the Empire fell, he was young. Or when the Empire, I should say, not when they fell, when the Republic fell, he was young. So he was probably romanticized with the idea of what the Republic was, which obviously fed into what he wanted to get to with the rebellion and the new state of things that he was hoping for.
Yeah.
But I would agree, like, I definitely, in terms of world knowledge, I wouldn't put him very high on the list with that.
Yeah. And like, you know, at certain points in the story, I would even consider like the adult characters, people who were grown when the Republic fell, as being slightly naive sometimes. I'm not going to say that Mon Mothma wasn't naive for a long time, right? But at the same time, like, she was able to come to that point that she was like, no, fighting is actually like necessary now. Like, this has, you know, I don't want to do it, but it's going to have to happen. And the only thing that I can do is reduce the impact of that. I can't stop it anymore. Nemik was never able to grow into that, where his ideals were challenged. And I'm not saying like challenged as in like, oh, because he's so nice. Again, his ideals are pure and they are good, right? But, you know, having those ideals challenged on a bigger level is so important for developing that sense of the world around you. And yeah, like I said, the rebels that he worked with did have an impact on that. It did make him question things that he believed in, and he was able to come to terms with that. But I don't think he would have, at this stage, if he was frozen in time and brought back in the middle of the Galactic Civil War, I don't know how he'd be able to cope.
I think that he would, even if he had survived this and been around for the entire Civil War, he would have struggled. He, to me, like you said, he's very much, words are his art. Words are his ammo. You know, I could see him being, you know, speechwriter type role where he's there to help spread the message in a vocal way rather than in a physical way. Because I love him, but how he didn't get looked at as one of the Imperial officers while they were waiting to go in to Aldhani, and someone looked at him and went, "No, you're a little small for an officer, a little small for a trooper. What's going on here?"
Yeah. Like, again, speechwriter or somebody who works in association with, like, you know, rebel propaganda, which was a department that did exist. I can see him working very closely with characters like Mon and like Leia, right, in order to do that, because they would definitely 100% see his potential. That is a big thing with Leia specifically, is that she is able to meet somebody and feel their potential for the cause, right? Luke and Han would not have been the rebels that they were without Leia seeing that potential in them.
Oh, 100% agree. 100%. And I honestly do think that, given what we also know of the New Republic and how it was set up, he would have struggled in that environment. I think he, because of this pureness, and obviously that probably would have been impacted if he had lived through the Civil War, but that pure idealism, I think, would have really been challenged when he realized that, hey, we're replacing the Empire with the New Republic, which is better, but it's still a huge bureaucratic machine and not something that can just work organically. I think he would have struggled in something like that.
As Leia did as well. And Leia is, you know, at this point in time, like, you know, where we know that Leia has more of this real world experience than Nemik does, right? That's a big part of Leia, Princess of Alderaan, her big coming of age story. And yet, because they don't recall living in a democracy, they have problems being like, okay, I had this idealized picture in my head where everything would be perfect and wonderful and good, with Palpatine gone, with democracy reigning in the New Republic. But there are different rules that we have to follow. I need to get permission to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that naturally is a struggle. And characters like Mon, who have had that experience, are much more able to be like, I know how this is meant to work. And that's like, that was a big part of Aftermath with Mon and Leia's stories together, was that tension, because Leia was like, I'm just trying to do the right thing. And Mon's like, I know. However, we run a government now, and there are rules we have to follow because we are not an empire. It can't just be one person deciding for the whole anymore.
Yeah.
Right. We're no longer just a volunteer militia. We are no longer a rebel insurgency. We are a legitimate government. We need to be that, you know, and that's not a bad thing for any of the characters, I think, having to struggle through learning important lessons that they may not really want to learn that kind of shatter some of their worldview.
Yeah. And we see that even beyond this group. Like, I think of Hera in Ahsoka, and how she's just like, no, I need to do this, and they're like, nope, committee.
Yeah.
Like, I can't help but think that any movement that is created out of not necessarily chaos, but a level of autonomy to just get things done, always gets crushed under the weight of process. Whether that process is committee or bureaucracy or going up the chain.
Yeah.
And I think Nemik would have struggled in that.
And like, while I can acknowledge that these processes are super important for things like democracy, I do understand how a lot of people get frustrated with that, because it is a lot to grapple with. And even before the Empire, we saw characters grappling with that. We saw Anakin grappling with it in Attack of the Clones. And I would say Anakin's more politically inept than characters like Nemik and Leia, who can be like, okay, well, I understand this. Because Anakin's like, I don't understand why y'all just don't sit down, discuss the issue, and decide the right thing to do. And Padme's like, well, that's what we try to do, but not everybody agrees. And so that sort of thing, like, I can understand if that, like, how that can cause the basis for somebody to be like, oh, well, one person's just going to decide for the whole. Why not? Right? And it's like, no, babes, that's autocracy. That's fascism. That is a net
not
bad.
What we want.
That is not what we want, right? Because they don't understand the nuance. They don't understand the importance of these processes, because they're like, but it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So in their minds, they're like, well, if you're going to do the right thing, why should you have to ask permission? And
it's all they know, whether it be Leia or Anakin or Nemik. All they know is that one person is deciding what needs to be done, whether that's the Empire, whether that's the rebellion. Like, obviously the rebellion had the council, and they tried to do, but I mean, as we saw through the original trilogy, it was like, I'm going here. Bye.
Yeah.
And when you see that, and it's all of course you think that, okay, well, I can do it better, in the sense of I can do it without being harmful to people. But you're still working your worldview around the idea that one person still just makes the decision and you go with it.
Which,
democracy is messy.
It is messy. And it's inconvenient, and it's not always fun. And politics should stop being turned into a spectacle, but that's a different discussion for a different day. Nemik will be made relevant in Andor season 2, and I want to hear his name brought up in more stories.
Yes. I mean, like, he has such a foundational impact to these characters. How he's not been anywhere else is something that still boggles me.
Yeah.
But Tony will do right by him. I have faith.
Tony, please. You know how much we love Nemik. You know how much we mourned him. He did say in that interview that if he didn't make us cry, he'd be very unhappy. And I'm like, Tony, I'm about to make you the happiest man on this planet. Because I'm crying reading this interview, and you're like, yeah, Mon's gonna be going through it. And I'm like, perfect. She never gets a fucking break.
I know.
Please give Mother a break. And if anything else, if anything, I knew I was going to be crying because he's involved. And I've accepted that Tony Gilroy is a man who uses my tears as part of his skincare routine. And he looks too good for a man who has caused that much stress to a fan base.
Yeah.
And he's like, the perfect solution is using their tears as like my cleanser. And it's like, yeah, okay. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks a lot. I mean, I'm glad you look so good, but seriously, man.
Like, he stresses me out. He has caused so much stress. I thought stress was supposed to age you. Same with Mon, though.
He's causing the stress. He's not
That's
ingesting
true.
the stress.
That's true. Same with Mon, though. I'm like, how do you look this good when you're this stressed out? Like,
Practice.
practice. She bathes in my blood, actually. Is there any more that we want to say about Nemik aside from rest in peace, my baby boy?
That, I mean, like, I wish that we could get I would love a book narrated by him, narrated by the actor in Nemik.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could just be the manifesto on repeat and nothing else. And I would buy it and listen to it. It would become my life's mantra.
Yeah.
You will be missed. And I hope that maybe there's some way you can become a Force ghost, even though you were not Force sensitive at all, just so we can see more of you.
Look. Ooh, I did want to say one thing. I think it's very important that, like, the part of the manifesto that we hear, it ends with, remember this, try, which is such a stark opposition to other characters like Yoda, who are like, do or do not, there is no try, which is like, you know, Nemik's like, even if you don't succeed, you did your best. Whereas Yoda's like, I mean, if you don't succeed, maybe you suck. That's what it feels like. You know?
Maybe
I'm just a Yoda hater.
No, well, it's justified. Let's be honest. We've both read Phase 2 of the High Republic. It is justified.
We both.
but I mean, I think like it speaks to rebellions are built on hope, and you only have hope when you try things.
Yeah, and you know, standing up against a fascist regime, there are so many things that's like, oh, you could do this, but systems either like change or die.
Yes.
And fascism, even though it is like inherently built on very old-fashioned, traditional, wrong ideas, like ramped up to the extreme of, like, you know, one person should be, it's basically an absolute monarchy, hence the empire. There is no solid playbook of what will work every single time.
Yeah.
Because just like the revolutionaries that fight against them, these systems learn as well. They learn how to adapt against different things. They have new technology. They have new people that they've brought into their way of thinking through various events. And so all you can really do is try. And, you know, while Yoda's words maybe make sense for somebody like Luke, it wouldn't make sense for the rebellion as a whole. Because, you know, it's just like, hey, I mean, if you try this but you fail, you still did something good, right?
Yeah.
Like,
you still pushed that boundary. Even if you weren't completely successful, you've pushed that boundary that you otherwise wouldn't have pushed.
Yeah. Like with Aldhani, right? Now, overall, it did cause issues later down the road with the PORD, like the Public Order Resentencing Directive and all of it that came with that. But people were talking about the rebellion. Marva was inspired by what happened on Aldhani. So even though it wasn't completely successful and they didn't empty the entire vault and much of their team died ultimately, that was still like, they still tried. They still did the best that they could under the circumstances, you know?
Well, and it had, I mean, bad or good, it had the outcome that Luthen wanted, which is that it angered people. It stirred feelings in people that were otherwise quite willing to hide behind 40 atrocities and just go, I'm just going to get on with my day.
Yeah, it's too much to handle. There's nothing I can do about it. Which, I know you haven't finished The Mask of Fear, but there's a certain character who reaches a point where she's like, wow, I'm really glad that this other character gave me a way of, like, to handle this and to do something about this thing that happened.
Is that character Mon?
Yes. I realized I gave it away by using her pronouns. Anyways, also I'm always talking about Mon Mothma.
It's always it's a safe guess.
If I don't say a character's name, it's probably Mon Mothma, and I'm trying to mask it. Yeah. But she ultimately does come to a point where she is on that page, and I think getting to that page is important, right? Because part of it is that we are meant to feel alone and isolated, like there's nothing we can do, and that nobody else is as outraged about these things we are. And that's, I hate to say, one of the good things about social media is that you can find other people who are also pissed off about the shit that's happening. I have found many a Canadian who is like, I just want to give them cans of soup, and I'm like, please. And they're like,
elbows up.
The Geneva Conventions don't apply to civilians, and I'm like, you're right, elbows up.
Elbows up. It's the unofficial national motto. It's not a war crime the first time.
And the Geneva Conventions don't apply to civilians.
Exactly.
It's great coming from the country that is the reason the Geneva Conventions exist. We're a problem.
Only when we are pushed. We will not push a button. That's true. But we will push back.
Yeah. I saw a comment the other day that was like, Canada's peacekeeping skills are just by, making sure that things get added to the Geneva Convention so other countries can't do them.
Exactly. We keep you all in line by doing ugly shit for you.
Exactly. Don't fuck with us. We are scary. Anyways, what are you most looking forward to in Andor season 2? Claiming Nemik as a Canadian right now.
Yes. Yeah. No, I just was thinking the same thing. 100% he's Canadian. 100%. 100%. There's so many things that obviously getting to see the budding bromance of K2 and Cassian is going to be great.
The meet cute that Tony just
exactly. Having Cassian and Mon interact is beyond exciting. So many things.
I was going to be like, if you say you're looking forward to the Gorman massacre, I will call you a monster.
Here's what I'll say about it. I am looking forward to it in the sense of how it galvanizes the characters' belief in what they are doing. I am definitely not looking forward to the emotional wreckage that I will be having to watch it.
Over either 2 or 3 weeks. We don't know yet. God. We won't know until it happens.
I know. Like if it, you know what he's going to do. He's going to start it like we were talking about. He's going to start it on 1 week. It's going to start in like the last 5 minutes of an episode.
Yeah.
And then we're going to sit there and go, oh no.
Oh no. We know what's happening next week.
And we're going to spend a week just like nervous, anxious wrecks.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to be spending a week drafting Mon Mothma's version of Not Like Us that she drops on Palps right before leaving.
Oh. Yeah, I would have to say I think the thing that I'm looking forward to is 2 things. It's K2 and Cassian getting together, and I would really love to see B and K2 meet. I know it's not going to happen, but in my fever dreams it happens, and they become best buddies.
It could.
Like they become like the inverse of C-3PO and R2-D2, where the tall one is the menace and the small one is like, what are you doing?
K2 is going to turn B into a war criminal. K2 and Chopper is actually the thing that I would be most terrified about. Mon would be like, keep those war criminals away from each other.
We love you, but still.
We love you, but we do not need you plotting together.
They would be the reason for the Star Wars version of the Geneva Conventions. Let's be honest.
The Yavin Accords. Which planet would be net responsible for which planet is Space Canada? Because in some ways I think it's Chandrilla because relatively peaceful, but don't fuck with us. Yeah. But also Like, why would you want to fuck with us? We're so nice.
Exactly. Yeah, I could see Sandra Levy in Space Canada.
Mostly because I want Mon Mothma representing me, but hey.
I mean, she already does, let's be honest.
She does. I don't wear her merch for nothing.
Exactly.
Don't stand real life politicians. Stand fictional ones.
And fictional rocks.
And fictional rocks. Although rocks are a net good for our world. Yeah. No, those are so valid. Looking forward to those things. Oh, yeah.
I'm just looking forward to, I hope that we both get to see it at Celebration.
Oh!
that would be peak. That would be peak.
Because the last Celebration I went to, I didn't get to see the Mandalorian episode that they dropped at Celebration until, which was fine by me because it was okay. But I got to see the preview for Young Jedi Adventures. And just the difference in tone between those two shows is a lot. Because I'm like, wow, Young Jedi Adventures. A baby Jedi show. Me. Woohoo, it's time for Andor. I'm in pain. I'm horrified. I want my baby Jedi back.
Nub supremacy.
Real. Who is your favorite original Andor character?
Oh, this is a hard one because I
For
feel
real.
like the easy answer is, for me anyways, is Luthen. I say that simply because, like, on one side of this here we were talking about Nemik, who is this optimistic, pure idealist, and on the other side of this you have Luthen, who is like this pessimistic realist who understands that he has to do awful things to stop awful things from happening.
Yeah. He is very much a fight fire with fire kind of guy.
And I mean, like his like that episode where you get the One Way Out monologue from Kino and you think, okay, we've hit it. Like, this is peak. And then you get, what do I sacrifice?
Everything.
But and obviously the other one is the person we're talking about. I love Nemik. I think Nemik is such a cool character, and I do wish that we would get more stories. Hint, hint, Lucasfilm, LucasArts, whoever you are, please.
Please. This is a little heart for Nemik.
If I had to pick one favorite character, it's definitely the guy who does the bells on Ferrix.
The Time Wrangler?
Yes.
I love him. The way he just fucking kicked that stormtrooper in Rick's Road. I was like, Stan.
He's like, there's pure chaos going down at the ground, and he's just banging away.
Just like,
and then the stormtrooper comes up. He's like, no, fuck you. I'm done. Banging away.
I'm not done. Yeah, no, so real. The Time Wrangler. We love. I need to know what happens to the Time Wrangler. Please let us see Ferrix again in season 2. Even though like so many of our tethers to Ferrix are no longer on Ferrix,
Yeah.
Like,
maybe he's out there in the galaxy just like ravaging stormtroopers with his hammers.
Yeah, real.
I'll be okay with
just
that.
kicking them in the chest. So real. The story of the Time Wrangler. Andor Fakpov. Time Wrangler story.
Yes.
So real. I want to know what goes on in the minds of so many of those characters. Vetch from Ferrix. I want to know what's going on in his head. He's just fascinating to me. Those poor people at the party in Narkina 5 that Mon and Perrin were just dumping their fucking childhood trauma. Like, we were married at 15.
Yeah. Hello. How are you?
Like,
I'm a child bride.
And I'm a child husband. A groom? I don't know. Ugh.
I was groomed to be the groom.
Fuck. Speaking of Perrin, fuck Perrin, and not in the fun way.
No.
I mean, they totally don't sleep in the same bed anymore, if that's what you mean.
They definitely do not.
They don't. Thank you. Oh, I don't even know if you got to that part yet, but thank you, Alexander Freed,
I
for
definitely,
confirming it.
yeah, I definitely like the part that I'm in. It's very obvious. Like you guys are like a 50s couple. You get this twin bed. I get this twin bed.
Except Mons is like much larger, and Perrin's room has like dirty underwear and socks all over the floor because he hasn't emotionally matured or matured at all from when he was 15. He is like the way that celebrities are stuck in the age that they got famous at. He is stuck in the age that he got married at. And Mon's like, I have to be the adult. You are, for all intents and purposes, the same age as our daughter to me. And that is very unattractive. I am in my 40s. And you are 15.
Oh, man.
To find you attractive would be revolting to me. He is that weaponized incompetence husband.
Yeah, I hate him. He's at the bottom of my list.
Is he your least favorite original Andor character? Woohoo! Another vote for Perrin.
Yeah,
he and Tim are really winning for least favorite.
I don't understand how it's even close. I mean, like how you don't look at Perrin and just go, "You are the absolute fucking worst." Like, you know, Tim at least gets his comeuppance. I did not shed a tear when that man got shot. I was like, you know what? You fucking deserve it.
Yeah, I was like, Bix, if you're going to cry over a man, can it be a better man than Tim?
Yeah, like Cassian's right there.
Cassian's right there. Brasso's right there.
Yeah.
Other men are right there. Yeah. Like,
you know who she would have gotten along with really well was Tamarin.
Oh. Yeah.
He would have been like the calming influence.
Taramyn is my favorite of the Aldani rebels, and then Nemik.
Yeah.
But I think it made sense for him to die, unfortunately.
Can I give special mention to the commandant on Aldani? That man was a piece of trash.
He was trash. Not just the way that he just treated everyone around him super poorly.
Yes.
His wife, his kid, the people who worked for him, the people of Aldani. I'm like,
I didn't feel sorry for him at all. What a poetic way for a man who treats the loves of his life in terms of his family like trash to have his heart be the thing that gives out on him.
I was like, oh, I didn't realize he had a heart to have a heart attack. Like, that was my reaction. It was close to 4:00 in the morning, and I hadn't slept. And I was like, didn't realize he had a heart. And was that cold-blooded of me? Yes.
Was it accurate though? Yes.
It was accurate. Do I care?
No.
Right. Anyways, I hope that his wife finds some hot rich man who treats her and her son better.
Or
and
Brasso.
He's like, or Brasso.
Come on, Brasso would treat her right.
Brasso would treat anyone right.
That's true.
I will leave Brasso for everyone else because me, Mon, and Tay are going to run off together and have our weird little family.
That'd be a happy family, though.
It'd be so happy. It would be me and Tay absolutely in love with Mon. Here's a great segue. What's your favorite thing about Mon Mothma?
Oh, that's a great segue.
Everyone has to answer this question.
I mean, there are so many. To me, I could go on for a while, but I think the thing that I like most about Mon is her clarity of conviction. Like, it doesn't seem to matter what it is that happens, whether it's the events that I've read so far in The Mask of Fear or everything that happens through the prequels or the rebellion. She has a clear guiding star as to what is right, and that never wavers. And that is something that is so rare in written characters and so rarely done believably. That to me is my favorite thing about Mon Mothma.
I think especially like having that firm sense of what is right and wrong. This is going to sound terrible. It's very rare to see it for not just a written character, but a character who's a politician.
Yes.
Because it's like, yeah, sure, lots of politicians suck. And I think that when people go into making characters that are politicians, they get so hung up on that they lose sight of what a politician is meant to be, what makes a good politician. They can tell you what a bad politician is, and they can write about that for days, weeks, months, years at a time. But a truly good politician who tries her best, not just for like the people that she is directly representing, but for all of the people that the body that she is meant to be part of is meant to represent. Because we see it at Andor. She is speaking out for the people of Gorman. This is the senator from Chandrilla.
Yeah.
Right. She will speak out for the people who don't have that voice. And you're going to see a lot more of it in the Mask of Fear, where she is trying to give a voice to people who have not been heard. And that was their problem. You could probably guess who I'm talking about if you remember episode 7 announcement, where she is discussing having separatist coalition meetings. But
yes, I have a sense for where this is going. I do. I won't spoil it for anyone who's watching this who has not yet read The Mask of Fear, which, by the way,
read The Mask of Fear. Read The Mask of Fear. I have a whole 50-day countdown playlist that you can watch, because I don't know, I finished one and then the following week I was like, back to another 50-day countdown. Yeah. I think that's everything that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And now we can move into the outro. So thank you once again for joining us, Nicholas. It was a pleasure to have you. You're a great friend. You're part of the Rebel High Command Airbnb for Star Wars Celebration Japan.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. And it's also gonna be where we play our little Star Wars TTRPG. That is gonna be a lot of fun to do, because unless something drastically changes, I will be a Night Sister.
I have to figure out what I'm going to be.
Yeah, I just finished my first like full storyline playthrough of Jedi Fallen Order, so I'm like, Night Sister.
Marin.
I love her. I love her.
She is. Just wait till you play Survivor. I won't say anything, but just wait till you play Survivor.
I love her. I love her so much. If BD dies in the third one, we riot.
Oh, 100%.
We will be buying flights to go and riot out. Well, at the studio. I don't fucking know where it is, but we'll find it.
Where is Respawn? Is it around me?
I don't know.
It's an EA game, and EA is near me. Okay.
So we'll stay at your house.
Sounds good.
While we're rioting. we all get arrested, and it's like, why are you rioting? Because BD1 died.
Oh, they're in LA. So we could go to LA. We can go.
It's an easy drive.
Hang out with some people.
It's an easy drive from where you live, I think.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is a 2-day drive.
It's a straight shot down.
It is. It's just a long shot down.
We have allies in LA who will happily rise up for justice for BD1.
Yes. Without a doubt. You know what I might be an Itch-Taki for our, mainly because I like Stacey Tin, because he's like the grumpy man.
Yeah.
And there are definitely days where I feel like I channel him. Yeah.
I will be doing a slight Russian accent like Marin. I practice it by saying, "Oh, my homies hate Theron Malikos." And she never said those words, but you can hear her saying them.
You know she's thinking it.
Yeah. Marin doesn't even know what a homie is, but she will discover it.
She will learn.
Is there anything you'd like to plug? Where can people find you on the interwebs, on their phones or computers or data pads if they live in the Star Wars universe. Take me there.
Yeah, you can find me on the non-fascist aligned social medias, aka Blue Sky and TikTok, at ndwiseguy. I like to talk about the High Republic, which is great because we've got the last 3 books coming up, which I'm both crushed and excited for, because the way that things were left after Tears of the Nameless, I need to understand what's going on. And I need to know what happens to High Republic Dad, because
Quarter angle.
Oh yes, the best,
Baby boy.
the best.
Baby boy. Showing off our babies.
Exactly.
Porter and Mon.
Yeah, that's where you can find me. That's what I talk about. I will definitely be talking about Andor, and Mask of Fear once I get through it. Because if I don't get through it, I feel like you might come and hunt me down, and I don't need that.
You'll be in the same house as me for like what, a week?
A week.
I will just slip into your room and stand over your bed. You're gonna wake up and there's gonna be a crazy look in my eyes, and I'll be like, read the Mask of Fear.
It's that look right there. That look right there.
And I'll probably bully you into being in at least one of my celebration videos that I want to post.
That's fine.
So,
As long as you don't mind.
Where I run around the convention being a maniac and being a problem, and people try to stop me, and I'd be like, "Excuse you, I work for Mon Mothma."
Yeah, just.
I'd be like, "We're actually security at this convention," and I'm like, "You know what? Mom says I don't have to listen to you.
Run away.
Run." Run in either my little slippers or my little heeled boots. I'll probably fall.
We'll give you blocking so that you can at least get a little bit of the way before someone catches you.
Let the chancellor's kid run away, and be a menace. So me / the weirdest and biggest Mon Mothma stan in existence, because people keep validating me and saying that I'm the best Mon Mothma fan. It's true.
It is
you
true.
can find me at Bejeweled Mothma, or if you're looking for my entirely Mon Mothma centric stuff, at Mothma Updates on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, mostly on Blue Sky. And Mothmanet here on YouTube. Friday, April 18th, 4 p.m., fan stage, Star Wars Celebration. Be there or make Mon Mothma cry, and we don't like that.
No.
Because it is the one and only Mon Mothma-centric panel. Senator Rebel Chancellor, who is Mon Mothma? Come listen to me yap for an hour about Mon Mothma, and watch me get probably really angry over facts that I had to do math for. Looking at you, Clone Wars. Yeah, it's going to be recorded. It's going to be posted on the YouTube. This is one of the people who has said that he will record. So you have met him. Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you once again, Nicholas, for being
Thank
here.
you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you to the viewers at home, work, on a train. Don't try to access the internet on a plane unless you've got like the Wi-Fi. And please don't watch my videos while driving. I do not support that kind of behavior. I hope that Andor Season 2 emotionally devastates all of you, but also makes you happy. Like you're gonna suffer, but it's gonna be a good time. Because now we have answers, and we waited for 2.5 years for the fates of some of these people. It's been over 850 days since we last heard from Takeholma. Father, please come home. Thank you, and may the Force be with you, everyone. Button there.